Welcome to the Detroit in Black and White. This is our Wednesday edition. Hey, Jim. How you doing, Jim Nardoni?
I'm well, thank you, Adolf.
I'm Adolph Mongo. I'm back, at least for today, for this evening. Let's get going, man. While I was gone, it seemed like I don't know. It seemed like a long time, Jim. But our our would-to-be former mayor is patting himself on the back and saying all kind of crazy shit, and I'm like, his head done got so big that folks saying he can run another term and all this other stuff. Was Duggan the best thing that ever happened to Detroit in the last 12 years, Jim? Your opinion?
I have a different perspective on things. Duggan was a setup, right? He was handpicked by, the aristocrat class of people. He was handpicked to be the mayor of Detroit, and he did what I think they expect him to do. He did some good. He fixed downtown. He brought back. There was some positive things going on in public safety in the police department. He started bringing up salaries. So he did some good things. I don't think he's the savior of Detroit like some people think.
No, I don't either. And then what I took issue with, and I hope some of our viewers comment on this, is that he said that when he got elected mayor, he stopped all the racial divide that pitted Detroiters against suburban communities, and I just don't see it. I'm not saying that we're a powder keg about to explode, but there's still some animosity from both sides of the border.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit after you introduce your partner.
Well, Alan Langle, co-founder of Deadline Detroit. Alan,
Hey.
I threw the question out there that Duggan is patting himself on the back now that he's about to leave office. That one of the things he says that he stopped all the racial divide between Detroit and its suburban neighbors, and I take issue with that. I don't think that's a 12-year solution or whatever. It took 300 years for shit to divide folks, and I don't think somebody can come in there and wave a magic wand and say, everybody love each other. What do you think?
I agree with you part way, but I also feel like I do feel that Detroit became, for people in the suburbs, for decades, literally people would brag about not coming into the city for 20 years. I never go into there. I think a lot of people from the suburbs do come in. So I think, look, to say that there's no racial divide there is ridiculous. But at the same time, I do feel, like the suburbs are more, they become more open to coming downtown. There's more restaurants, the sporting event. All the sports teams are downtown.
Well, we didn't have that. I lived downtown. I came back to Detroit in '84, and when Coleman Young, he was universally disliked by the suburban communities, and there was nothing downtown. Everything moved out. Now, Duggan, what Jim said, was handpicked, and and they laid out a silver platter with a lot of food. They created this big buffet to choose from, and they still didn't get all of it right, but they got the downtown right, and they got people saying, I want to come downtown, a lot of restaurants, a lot of this and that, but they haven't said, I'm going to move to Detroit. because of the school system just got better. I just love it. Oh, we got shopping. We can go do all our Christmas shopping down because they brought it all back. And
Right.
you know, we lacking a lot of stuff. I would have been. It would have been much better if Duggan said, you know what, things done got better, and we made some progress. But to say I stopped it, you know, and I know, and I don't work with Mike Duggan. I know how he likes to brag about shit, and that's one of the things he was bragging about, which is bullshit, Mike Duggan. You know, you listen. We might not have people saying I hate the mayor, and I'm not going there because of the mayor and all this other stuff because of the mayor. But no, you know, we still got a long way to go with that. And we got a long way to go to fix schools, to fix crime, etc.
I think schools is really a glaring thing in the city. I mean, it's still, if you're a young couple about to have a child or you have young children, you know, it's, and there are some good schools. Cass is a good school. I think MLK.
I'm just tired of hearing that, though. I'm tired of hearing there's a good school. That's like saying, you know, so-and-so police department got, I named 3 of the 35 cops on the force saying they good.
Yeah.
The rest of them is to be desired.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point there. I'm just saying, you know, look, people will say, oh, Mike Duggan had Dan Gilbert. If he had not had, he had the wind, as there's an old Irish saying, may the wind be behind your back. Duggan.
But he had more than just Dan Gilbert. He had a supporting cast. He had the Ilitches was already there. They came there with Coleman Young. Tom Gorse. He did, even though I beat up on Tom Gorse, and Pistons took $40 million and gave us a basketball court. At least they're in there. And Bill Davison, he split, he left and said, put his finger up to the city and say, I don't want to be in that cesspool. And even when the city offered him everything, to pay for everything, he still didn't want to do it. So
but we talked about the benefits. Go ahead, Alan.
I'll just say real quick, the trend, as you said, as you mentioned before, Adolph, for a while, look, the Parthenon restaurant in Greektown, they opened in West Bloomfield on Orchard Lake. They opened in St. Clair Shores. The downtown went out to the suburbs. A lot of the places moved out, and people less and less, and people kept moving out of the city, black and white. And you know, it took.
The black folks just start 50 years later, of course. But the bottom line is they've been moving. Detroit been moving to the suburbs forever. It was Detroit money that built the Mackinac Bridge. It's always Detroit. Detroit set the tone. They built all the freeways, and so it made it easier for people to boom. Now you got folks that want to come back, but it's not enough. Just that. And when I hear, oh, we gain people, what, 5 people, 6 people? This reminds me of when Jennifer Granholm said, oh, I got a surprise for you. Google moving to Michigan. What was it? 8 Google employees?
Huh.
Yeah. So no. Jim, you wanted to say something.
I just want to say we hit on Dan Gilbert. We look at, you know, we talked about this a couple of shows ago. We talked about the negativity of Dan Gilbert and the Ilitches and Roger Penske and Pete Carmanos. All these people, you have to ask yourself, when we look at the negative, we have to look at some of the positive. Where would we be if Roger Penske didn't buy those ambulances, those police cars? I don't know where we would be. So we focus on the negativity, The Ilitches didn't do what they said they were going to do. Chris Ilitch is not his dad. We get all these things,
No,
but
no, you're right. Well, you're absolutely right. But that's good that you say that because, well, Duggan didn't do this shit. He's not Superman. It took a team of people to make him look good. You got a supporting cast that come in and say, we got your back. Listen, Duggan been one lucky son of a bitch a long time. You look at the DMC, they was going bankrupt. The state gave him money. Prosecutor's office. He made out like a fat rat in a cheese factory. And
I'll say this: I think he you got to give him some credit. He's a
I
skilled
give him some credit, but I won't give him. I won't say he the fucking savior, or I can tolerate another fucking 4 years of Duggan. Hell no. And I already been hearing about we got a weak person coming in as mayor, and we might have to call back Duggan. I'm like, fuck. The woman, she won, Mayor Sheffield, the mayor-elect. Let's see what she's going to do, and we go from there. Go ahead, Alan.
No, I wish the best, as a resident of Detroit, and even if I wasn't a resident, I wish Mary Sheffield the best. I hope that she has the maturity and the she can't do everything. She can't be so private and secretive about things that she has been, like her relationship with contractors and stuff, and then really lying
even getting married. If people know she was getting married, and then it was like a secret. It
could have been, hey, yeah, okay, we're getting married. It's like I did a story. I didn't put the hotel in there, ahead of time.
You know what? I would have, if they'd have let me. And I'm gonna just tell you, because when they try to hide it, I'd have throw it out there.
Yeah.
And they didn't give you credit for it. Some of these media outlets, but the ones that I was listening to, I said they scared to say Deadline Detroit. Just another media outlet, Well,
I'll tell you what. Here, this in the media in this city has always been. When I went to the Washington Post, if the New York Times broke a story, they'd say first reported in the New York Times. Here, they don't. They rarely. They did give credit for that, but I think part of it was they were afraid to be like, put it on Deadline Detroit, like the News and the Free Press. But
listen, Deadline Detroit come a long way. It got more credibility than the fucking Free Press or the News. Jim, you want to read some before we take a break? You want to read some of our comments?
I do. Karen Winston, WGAF, who gives whatever. Hey, Edward Alt, good evening to you. Duggan, I'm going to put my glasses on. Looted black homeowners, $600 million to $1 billion in illegal property tax, and illegally foreclosed on 100,000 homes. to Mary Kemet. Thank you, Jan. 6179. Hello to you. The question, Eric Brown, is will the current mayor, the incoming mayor, get the same kind of support than the last administration had? I think that's probably an interesting question. I'm not sure she will get the same support, but we'll see. People are leaving Michigan in droves. to Mary, and Karen Winston agrees. Hey, Joe Sheridan. G Money, greetings to you. Glad to see you, G Money. Vanessa's off having fun. She should every now and then. Schools are the future, and Cass has its own issues. Miss Sheila 2129. Thank you, Miss Sheila. There's a very long way to go to fix the school. Cass is now average and lives off its reputation of the past, the position of Eric Brown. White people pulled out of Detroit because we had a black mayor. to Mary Kemet. Stephanie Jackson, good evening to you. True Sensation, our good friend. Hey, Adolf. Not that not everybody out there is our good friend. How did I guess the mayor's exit interview go with the Detroit Economic Club? Not sure. Karen Winston talks about crime. Tamari says again, Duggan did not fix downtown. We talked about that. Dan Gilbert did, amongst others, contributed to that success. Ray Charles could have fixed downtown if he was given the money. Sure, thank you, Karen. Good.
Okay.
To Janet.
Well, Duggan didn't fix downtown, but he was the captain of the ship, and we all know who makes the ship go. But before we continue, let's take a break and we come back. This is Detroit in Black and White Wednesday edition with Alan Lango and Jim Nardoni.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. Are you living in the home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, or maybe you know someone who's in the same situation? The probate process may be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. We have several nonprofit partners who have free attorneys who can assist you. Contact our office, 313-224-5990, or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. Don't lose your family property. Some of these properties have been in the family for 4 or 5 generations. Contact us now. We're here to help.
This question is for Alan. Alan, what do Michigan and Michigan State have in common?
Oh, well, they both have coaches that have been fired and are now under some.
That's it.
I mean, the current coach, Sharon Moore, who just got fired for somewhat. It's not clear. They said inappropriate.
They say they been detained by police in Pittsburgh, Pittsfield Township. Does that mean he's Jim, detained and arrested? What's the difference?
Got to be a warrant out for him.
They do have a warrant out for him?
Well, I'm wondering, he's being detained. How it was.
He's in jail right now?
It just says the ESPN is reporting that Saline police helped locate him and turned him over to the Pittsfield Township Police, where he's being held. Well, I don't know what's.
From what I hear, that he got into some kind of altercation. Was him and his wife fighting?
Oh.
I have no information. Saline is a different city than Pittsfield Township. Borders borders Ann Arbor out there, and Saline is also right there. So I'm not sure where he lives. I have no information on that. I have a hard time believing they would have fired him for a domestic violence without early.
They're saying inappropriate relationship with the staff member.
Now, what about the staff member? Do she get fired too?
Usually it's the person who's the boss who gets fired for if it's inappropriate. But we don't know. We have no idea what that means, really. Inappropriate. I mean,
what do you think your take on this is? That somebody dropped a dime on him, or
no idea.
Or she dropped a dime on him.
We had the president of U of M who also had inappropriate relationships, if you remember, and he was fired.
And he quit, right?
Or I think he was fired from the job, but I think he was allowed to remain as a professor or something like that. He was having they have some very strict rules about that. I don't know if he just had a relationship with somebody.
That doesn't make sense to me, because if there's a criminal investigation, they would have just waited. They would have suspended him, and the criminal investigation.
There was an internal investigation, I think, by the university. But
I think they're going to have to pay him some money.
We don't know. Well, look, he was making, I think he made $6 million this year. They're saying that they're going to, because they're firing him with cause.
They're going to have to pay. They're going to have, from what I hear, it's just like they're going to have to pay Mel Tucker some money.
Well, that's Mel Tucker. Well, we don't know the circumstances of this, but there, some are saying that because he's being fired with cause, that he, but he had a contract and he's making. These guys make big money. All these coaches, Harbaugh was making $7 million. I think he was making more than that for a while, and then he took a pay cut. But yeah, I don't know what the circumstances of this are. We don't know what came first. If there was an internal investigation that was maybe triggered by a police investigation or vice versa, but who knows?
Well, does this with the signal controversy and this, does this really gives U of M football team, sports program, a real black eye, a big black eye?
I have Jim, you want to weigh in on that?
Well, I don't think that any individual's actions, whether, Jim Harbaugh, is it Jim Harbaugh? Does that give him a black eye? Does Mel Tucker's actions give Michigan State a black eye? I think it's a bad look, but I don't really think it's fair to label Michigan State University or the University of Michigan in that manner, because they have one bad guy, right? We talk about bad police officers. You can talk about police officers that murder somebody. That doesn't mean that one agency is, it happens, right? They have bad people that work in their organization. Is he at the top of the food chain? Sure he is, and it's unfortunate. We don't know. So I hate to jump to conclusions without any facts. I don't care what's being reported. I don't care what the press says. If he's being investigated for a crime, I want to know what that crime is. And I'd sure like to know the cause is. Go ahead.
But I'll say to what you're speaking of, I agree, one person, but sometimes it's systemic. We're seeing like Dr. Anderson, University of Michigan, Dr. I can't remember his name now at Michigan State,
right,
who is
Nassar.
Yeah, and those were somewhat cover-ups, and we see at Penn State where Joe Paterno basically was tossed aside because it was more than one person. It was a system. It's like the Catholic Church when they covered up and started transferring priests all around, trying to hide the fact that they'd molested children, and they keep transferring. Is that just one person? No, it's a systemic thing. And so
this guy hasn't been there.
But they're institutions, and I agree with you. Look, these institutions bounce back. They're so beloved. There's alum from Michigan State, Michigan, who love them. They're gonna, at some point, it goes away and they get rejuvenated. But I think there are little periods of time where it hurts the fundraising.
Yeah, well, it hurts the fundraising. You think the big U of M donors gonna put their money in their pocket?
Depends what I think it depends what happens here. I mean, if U of M acted without cover up or anything, I think
there's folks saying that U of M wanted to get rid of Sharon Moore anyway.
That's what I thought.
And they needed any excuse to fire, because it's hard to fire somebody who wins 9 or 10 games in their first 2 seasons, 19 games, 18 games, and lose about 4 or 5. But they didn't like how his play calling and some of the strategy that he had during the season.
He was 17-8 over 2 seasons.
Okay,
I think they were,
which is not bad, And he got it. They brought a new quarterback in, who's only going to get better, and they'll probably have a better team. But who knows what's going to happen? I mean, they may have also looked at Michigan State and said, "Oh my God, they fired their coach. Now they've got this, godly coach coming in." They may have thought maybe they could do better. But I thought when I first saw the headline tonight and it said U of M coach fired, I thought, oh, they just weren't happy that he didn't go.
No, I had heard a couple weeks ago that he had some kind of girlfriend, and the person that told me thought it was a student. So
Well,
yeah. So I said, well, he's gonna be fired. But then you didn't hear nothing else about it, and here we are. Yeah.
But if it's a student and a student was working for him, I mean, that could create a problem there. But
Yeah, no question.
They have very strict rules there at U of M. Like I say, the president of U of M was removed because he had a relationship that was with the underling, and that's not acceptable. Court. I mean, I think it's sort of bullshit. I mean, they act like they're the highest of authority and that they're, so squeaky clean, but there's a lot of bullshit.
Who are you referring to, Alan?
I'm talking about the universities that they.
From Michigan or universities?
Well, a lot of universities. The University of Michigan is one of them.
I was just wondering if you were showing your bias there.
Look, Michigan State has done some. I mean, with what they did with the doctor and how
I think if they were in the college playoffs, they would have waited.
And that's what G Money Hollywood said. If he would have beat Ohio State, he probably would still be the coach. We don't know that. I mean, you can't compare the Mel Tucker situation to Sharon Moore.
If he's in police custody right now, we don't know if it's something subsequent to just what happened tonight, but they said they were trying to locate him, and so we don't know. But I mean, there's no way that they could have said, let's wait. Okay, he's in police custody, but let's let him out for the bowl game. I don't agree with that.
Well, they can put a tether on him.
He's not. If he's going to be in custody for a long time, it's because he did something substantial, and I don't see that. If it's a domestic violence case, he's going to be out in a day or two. But this is all going to be in. It's easy to find. All you have to do is go. Well, you're a reporter, Alan. You go to the court website, and it'll tell you whether he's being held or not. You can go to the Washtenaw County Jail, and you can tell if he's being held in the county jail or not. It's easy to find out.
Well, he's probably right now in Pittsfield Township if they have a lockup.
But they don't have a jail.
They don't have a lockup?
No.
They would have probably. Well, they have maybe a 24-hour lockup, but they would have turned him over to the Washtenaw County Sheriff's Office.
Not immediately, though. I mean, they might have detained him for a while.
Depends on what the warrant says.
Yeah.
It depends on when the arraignment is. Depends on if he was already arraigned. He could have been arraigned.
He might not have been charged with anything. We don't know.
He may not have been charged with anything. All that's true. But it would still be there in the court records if he was being charged.
Okay, well, we stay tuned for what's gonna happen with him. I liked him. I
thought he was a good coach too. I thought he was better than he was given credit for.
Yeah, me too. Next, RFK Jr.'s wife is crying because her book that she got out, nobody's buying it, and her friends in Hollywood says, "Go fuck yourself because you got a crazy ass husband." Should Cheryl Hines be punished for who she married to?
Yes. I think, you know what? I was a huge fan of hers on Curb Your Enthusiasm. I thought she played a great role there. She's not a passive. I mean, he was cheating on her. He's become a nut job, and she's been 100% there behind him. So yeah, I think a lot of people in Hollywood have rejected her. I heard Larry David hasn't talked to her in at least a couple of years. I find RFK Jr. He's not only offensive, but he's dangerous. He's dangerous. He doesn't have a medical degree. He's making medical policy across the U.S. Based on hunches and theories. And
so she should be punished by standing by her man, is what you're saying.
I'm sorry.
You're saying she should be punished by standing by her man and being dedicated and following. Following her.
He's a nut. Yeah, cheating. He cheated on her. He's a crazy man.
Let's not judge people. Let's not judge people's lives. I mean, I don't know whether she should be.
That's my opinion.
Okay.
Go ahead.
going pretty far to say she should be punished because she's married to the wrong guy.
I think her book should be. I think people
That's
should turn their noses at
That's
her
fine.
book.
That's a personal decision. I don't.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but to suggest that she should be punished because she's married to the wrong guy and she's stayed married to him regardless of the challenges of their marriage, I don't know what you mean by punishing her. Maybe she's already being punished because
she is being punished. I mean, people are rejecting her in Hollywood, and people are now going to reject. Some will reject your book, and some will buy it. Maybe she'll have a mega crowd.
What did she do to him? What did she do to Hollywood? What did she personally do to Hollywood? That's a great question, Alan. Why are we punishing? Why is Hollywood?
Because she is supporting a person who is offensive to America.
Her husband.
Yes.
But so what you said, Alan, that anybody that worked for Trump, their relatives should pay the price.
Not necessarily. I don't necessarily say that, but
should we send her
I would say in her circumstance, she has been very, very supportive of him, which is great. Okay, she's loyal, but where's loyalty and where is like being?
What if I had a daughter that married Louis Farrakhan's son, or Louis Farrakhan was my brother-in-law? Should I be,
if you're at a speech and Louis Farrakhan is talking about how the Jews are the devil and stuff, and you're standing there going, yes, I agree with him. Well,
but I haven't seen her standing behind.
I see her at all. She's been with him, and she's defended his vaccine policies. So, which is fine. I mean, those are his theories, but he's just not qualified. That's the problem with this administration. We've got Pete Hegseth not qualified. Kash Patel not qualified. You have Gandhi not qualified.
So anybody that worked for Trump and their loved ones, like J.D. Vance's wife, he beat up on East Indians, beat up on people of color, but yet she stand there and love them.
Right. What do you think of that?
She's an abused woman, or she's been brainwashed.
Right.
So it's a slippery slope. I don't think you just throw her under the bus because she continues to live in the house with him.
But I do blame her. I do give her some shit for he's dissed Indians, he's dissed people of color, and she's standing by him. I'm sorry. She takes
what's going on with this country? I'm going to read a quote here because it was important to me today because we were talking about this. And the great John Lewis, who I lived in Georgia, in the Atlanta area, when he ran against Julian Bond for the first time in the primary for that seat.
I remember that.
They tore him up. They
made fun of how he talks.
Exactly. They had radio shows making fun of John Lewis, calling him really disgusting names. All right. But John Lewis, a guy that was beat on the Edmund Pettus Bridge, said this in 2013. We may have come here on different ships, but we are all in the same boat now. So when I say that, I ask this question. Because somebody's married to somebody or they believe something different politically than us, we should shut them out of the world? Where are we going? It's not just one side, it's both sides. And they're both, I know Alan gets upset when I say this, but the people on the left are just as dangerous as MAGA. The 15% that hate people because who they vote for politically are no different than MAGA. They're the exact same thing, only in reverse. And you have to recognize that. It's terrible. Why do we hate people for who they vote for? Why do we hate people for supporting their husband or a different political party than us? It's going too far. It's gone.
It's not that, Jim. Look, I 100% look. I have relatives who supported Trump, and I have total respect for them. But they don't speak of racism. They don't support all the stuff that these people are. It's what these people are supporting. It's like, look, Cheryl Hines, she can, do her.
I don't know. I
thing.
don't have any idea who she is, so it doesn't
And
matter.
I never saw her on TV or anything.
never heard of her.
Obviously, you know who she is. I just know her by being
I've
married
never seen her
to.
either. I've never seen her in I didn't know. I
okay.
heard she was an actress or something, but I don't know anything about her.
Yeah. By the way, John Lewis, who said that about being in the same boat, also called Trump a racist. I'm
not talking about Donald Trump. I'm talking about John Lewis, who's the guy that was able to overcome everything he overcame, and he still believes we're all part of the same family.
But I'm saying that didn't preclude him from criticizing Trump.
And he's right, but that doesn't mean he didn't say Donald. Okay.
Well, we're gonna agree to disagree, and let's move on.
I don't know that we disagree. I just think that I
understand what you're saying, Jim, that we should be accepting of other people and what they think, but it's also
I hate everybody, so I ain't accepting none of you folks.
We were discussing this on the thread, and I don't know if you guys talked about it before I came on, but when Trump eliminates, the parks, entrance for the park, free entrance to the park on MLK Day or Juneteenth Day, and then says, for my birthday though, you can get in for free.
Well, but you know what, Alan? We already know how Trump is.
But why did he do that? He didn't do that to punish black people. He did it to punish Biden and the Democrats.
No, he did it to shit on black people.
I take offense to Trump and what he done. If I worried about what he is doing every day as a president, I'll go crazy. So I know he's out of his fucking mind.
But Adolph, I hear people, and I talked to Vanessa today earlier, and she says, look, I'm not that upset. Trump is Trump. But I say, you know what? That's where Trump wants us to go to, that everything he does, no matter how offensive, is okay because it's Trump. But he's slowly dismantling. I mean, he's trying to erase Black history. He's trying to minimize. I mean, Martin Luther King was not only a hero to Black people, but to white people as well. And it's not just a Black thing.
But I wish I could lose some sleep over it, but I'm not.
Well,
thank you, Jay.
Sleep, but.
Thank you, Jay. My only point is maybe he is trying to punish Black people, but he's fighting his enemies, and that's what they do. That's what Joe Biden did. That's the state of our politics today. And maybe he's racist.
Joe Biden.
But my point is, we gonna move on. Something else is I've been away so long. I got all these things I hope we can talk about. The reparations committee released a report. Have you read it? Anybody?
A little bit, not much. A little bit of it, yeah.
Even the guy that helped put it on the ballot, Keith Williams, called it bullshit.
Right.
What do you think?
Well, I think there's just too much. It's too much there. I think it addresses far more than reparations. It addresses a lot of inequities, and then it goes beyond just into historical stuff. And I think what he was saying is it's just too much. It became instead of a roadmap to actually getting there to reparations, it became, as he described it, as an intellectual exercise, and basically, which is another way of saying he thought it was too much bullshit in there. And I think the whole purpose of the reparations committee is to figure out what is reparations and what does it look like, and is it possible to implement here in the city of Detroit? And I think the report, which is hundreds of pages, I think kind of falls short of that. But
well, we had city council. Well, we had Mary Sheffield sat on that, and these folks had numerous people come and go on that committee that don't want to be bothered. And I frankly don't think anything is going to come of it.
Well,
Because you got two different points of view. You got people that say, write me a check. Boom, and that's not going to happen. And then you got people that says, well, folks in the city shouldn't have to pay the water bill, all this other stuff. It just, and when can they come up with something concrete?
right.
Can they reimburse the folks that was pushed out of Black Bottom, who lost their businesses, their relatives still around or alive or whatever? Do what Clinton administration did with the Japanese. They gave them $20,000 to the survivors and to their children or whoever that's still alive, and an apology. But what can you do when no politician in Detroit wants to touch it?
I
And I read
I
some.
tell you they like it, but they don't want to touch it.
I think the city of Detroit really doesn't have I think they really have to work with the federal government, and with this administration,
Ain't happening.
good luck. I mean, we're talking about an administration now who, because of the failed tariff policies, are now bailing out the farmers because Trump doesn't want the farmers to turn on them. They're losing business because of the tariffs. He wants to give farmers $20 billion. He wants to give Argentina $40 billion. So obviously there's some money to be had, but it has to be in conjunction with the federal government.
Can we look at some of our guests and see what they think? JRW7TF. Reparations are due and should be paid to descendants of the enslaved, but white people will never collectively agree to do it legislatively. Too much envy. Thank you, Jay. I think that it's a combination, public-private partnership is the only way this will work. And it's possible, but I think it's a long shot. I agree with you. Tamari, reparations is justice, and the recommendations were excellent. Trump dismantles everything in his way like a termite on steroids. Thank you, Janet. Why can't we be individuals with our own mindset? It was not BS, and how would you know if you didn't read it? Tamari's calling us out there. Keith Williams is a narcissist and a sore loser. We are independent thinkers by being adults. Thank you, Ms. Sheila. I appreciate that, because that's where we're running into problems. People control us because we allow them to control us. MAGA is controlled because people allow MAGA to control them. And that goes for both sides. That goes for a lot of people in this world. And it's scary to me. People are controlled because in a lot of cases, they want to be controlled. It's easier to be controlled.
Well, but some people have argued that when the U.S. government told the Native Americans you can go to school for free or whatever and put these programs, now they got first dibs on casinos. Is that the kind of reparations that we should be talking about?
I think, well, it could be. I mean, I think there's two thoughts, generally two thoughts, but probably more. One is to give everyone money. The other one is to create funds for like home loans, for utilities, for legal fees, for mortgage, help with mortgages or whatever. And so I don't know, it's going to be up to, people making.
But when you see, other groups getting reparations, like the Japanese and Europe, the Jews they got paid. That's kind of money I don't want to get. When 6 million people die and you get something but black folks didn't call for reparations after the Civil War. It was the U.S. government. It was people like Sherman, the general, say give them 40 acres and a mule.
But here's we go back to this. Why are we putting conditions on people? The reparations, if somebody deserves reparations, they deserve what they have coming. And it's not up to the government to decide what they do with their money. I have a real problem with that. The government that did this to people is now going to tell you what you can do with the money they give you.
Well, it's not. I think you're putting it away. They're not saying, okay, here's the money. You can only spend it on this, and that. I think they're trying to make a determination. Do we just give you the money, or do we have it for funds for those in need?
How much money you got? The question is, how much money do you give to people, and who qualified as being Black?
But that's the question, Alan. You made a great point, Alan. Number one, who deserves the reparations? But when you talk about people in need, we shouldn't be giving reparations to people in need. We should be giving reparations to people that deserve reparations.
There's no question. Let's take a break, and we come back and we'll continue the conversation. Detroit in Black and White, our Wednesday edition.
Homeownership opportunities are rising in the city of Detroit, and there's a house out there that's right for you and your family. You don't even have to worry about credit or getting a loan. You can win a house for as little as $1,000 and pay for the renovation cost as you go. It all starts at buildingdetroit.org and the Detroit Land Bank Authority. Our auction and Own It Now programs offer a variety of houses and neighborhoods all over the city of Detroit. These homes are in desperate need of repair and new ownership. You can begin by going to our interactive map and detailed property listings to find the right fit for you. It won't be easy, and renovation costs are not cheap, but our compliance team is there every step of the way. We will help you track your progress and connect you with local discounts to save you more money. We have already sold more than 15,000 homes in the city of Detroit, and our inventory is shrinking fast, so you don't want to miss out on this wonderful opportunity. Start your home buying journey today by visiting buildingdetroit.org. Homeowners.
Welcome back. Yeah. So, Alan, your last word on reparations?
My last word. Look, they're gonna have to figure out. First of all, where the money comes from, and maybe Jim mentions some private money and some government money to figure out, and then we have to figure out what it looks like. And I still don't know that it's been made clear enough how the reparations are going to be, if they're going to be given to individuals, or if there's going to be funds for people to apply for scholarships and whatever else. I don't know. It's not my business to really determine what that is. People are going to have to figure that out,
Jim,
my last word is Stephanie Jackson, 8347 of not cash land, 40 acres with interest or equivalent to today's value. Thank you, Stephanie. And Tamari Kemet says, read the recommendation. Spells out who would get reparations.
Okay.
Gloria House on your show. Dr. Gloria House.
Okay. I was trying to figure out why Trump was so in love with blowing up the little boats coming from Venezuela, etc. But now I think I know why. They seized an oil tanker. Is it because they want whatever they can take? Are we going to go to war and invade Venezuela?
I think it's so insane what's going on over there. I mean, to try to declare war, to put out these destroyer ships out there, to be bombing without any due process. I think it's just insane. You pick a country that you can kick the shit out of and just totally dominate. And so what? You look like, Pete Hegseth, gets to look like a tough guy. I mean, that guy is so over his head. The professionals in the Pentagon must just be going crazy over this.
Aren't we doing the same thing that Britain did? The Falkland War? Was that Argentina?
Grenada?
No, Falkland War. That little island that had 5 people living on it.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, what's the point of all this? I mean, here's our peacetime president who's out there, and he's trying to stir up shit with this country where, look, it's there. They've got internal problems right now. That's, the U.S., we try not to be regime changers, but we certainly don't really listen to that. But we have no business doing what we're
That's
doing.
our history. We have helped lots of governments change hands. We have invaded Cuba. We have invaded Haiti, Dominican Republic, Grenada, Nicaragua, Panama. What's left? We can. We need an excuse.
I can answer your question, Adolf, about
Go ahead.
if you want.
Go ahead.
You just need to look at Alaska and see what Trump did in his first term, trying to get people up there to drill for oil in the Anwar.
That's right. That's the bottom line. It's all about oil. It's all about oil. And I think that's why you pick. Listen, I'm the bully on the block. I see you walking down the street. You got a hamburger or you got a McDonald's meal. I want it. So I pick a fight with you. I take it. Shit. I got an excuse. Say that you threw a rock at me the other day. Or you was in my yard taking my toys. I don't know.
Yeah, I think the seizure of that ship, I think they're trying to say that there was oil that was supposed to be embargoed, like from Iran and somewhere else, and that it was headed to Cuba, and they were saying that they had the right to seize the boat. But I question that. I question whether they have the right to seize that boat.
Well, I question it too, but that's the way what's happening on that front. Well, as we come into a close, I want to go ahead and then.
I think the problem right now is that, previously we had people in the Pentagon, even under Trump's first term, who would say, this is not right, we shouldn't be doing this. But now there are no guardrails. Everyone who's just a yes person, just a stooge to the president. When he says, let's do this, nobody's saying, well.
I got new respect, even though she's a lunatic, for Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Oh, right. Yeah,
she just say, fuck you, Trump. Yeah. She gonna be her own person. Yeah. I wouldn't want her representing me, but you know what? She has done something that a lot of the mega people that's elected officials want to do. Yep. But either they go along with the program or they decide to retire from office. And you can see where all these folks are leaving Congress, not running for re-election, because they just tired of the bullshit. And their politics is not the way it used to be. And it was public service and stuff. You got people being threatened. You got people worried about whether some nut gonna come up there and take them out.
Yeah.
So yes. One final thought. I'll go with Jim. Jim, the new mayor is gonna be appointing folks to key positions. Should she keep most of Duggan's appointees since he's been the God savior of the city, or should she bring in her own team?
I don't know what she should do, but I think that you'll see a smooth transition because I expect her to hold on to a lot of those people. Whether
is that a good thing?
I would say it's probably not what I would do, but this is kind of it's a continuation of Duggan. And anybody
let me ask you this: when you became police chief in Trenton, were you able to pick your number 2 person?
I was, but here's where it's a little different. The guy that I worked for, we were in administration, and he lost. They got rid of him, and then made me the chief, which was kind of unique. It usually doesn't happen that way. So they allowed me to pick my second. But my boss, the guy that I worked with, the guy that I came out up under, who was very capable, he was a good chief. The only issue they had with him is he came from another department. And I think they wanted to move on from him, and they gave me the opportunity, which is usually the chief and a deputy chief move out. So I was fortunate.
But I never understood why some people want to stay where I do. You know, people want to keep their jobs or whatever. But I was always under the impression, you know, we lost. It's time to move on. Alan, should she have her own folks, or should she keep dugging people?
I think it should be a mix. I think where there's people who are really, really confident in what they're doing and not necessarily making policy, but I think it should be a mix. She should certainly bring in her own people, whether you know, chief of staff or deputy mayor. I think she's going to keep the police chief. She told us on her show when she came.
Well, that don't mean shit.
No, that don't mean shit, but she could. I mean, there's no reason to replace him at this point. I mean, at some point you slowly replace people, but I don't know that you totally give up all your knowledge and stuff by getting rid of everyone. And you hope, but everybody, I mean, look, Coleman Young brought in his people initially, but they were competent. And that's all you ask. If you bring in people you know who are pals or whatever, all we ask is that they be competent and they're good at their job.
But she's bringing in the last police chief to oversee the police department. So
that's crazy.
Not really. I think she's looking for some. I don't think you come in and you totally shake up everything. I mean, if you want to make changes, if you bring in your chief of staff and your deputy mayor and your other advisors, and they say, you know what, we need some changes here, then you do the change. I don't know that you do it across. Just sweep it across, and it's chaos if you do.
Well, we seen it before. It's like when Archer took over, they made sure they purged most of the folks from Coleman Young out, and then they took his game plan for Devil's Night, which it took about 5 years to get successful, and threw that out, and then the city, the east side, almost burned down under them. Some stuff you keep, some stuff you don't. Right. If you look how the military works, they come in there and they keep the people that do the most. That's the fighters, the ground troops. And you keep some of those experienced non-commissioned officers who will tell you where the landmines are. Yeah. That's what Kwame didn't have. He had all his he had all his relatives and his buddies from college running things.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's like the FBI got rid of the head guy, Christopher Wray, got rid of the number 2 guy, put in 2 clowns, Dan Bongino and Cash Patel, started firing left and right all these other top people, and the FBI is in chaos. The FBI it has a morale problem. It's in chaos. It lacks leadership, and so you don't want to.
10-year appointment. The director of the FBI is a 10-year appointment typically. So
yeah, typically, but not.
Yeah, but it don't mean shit in this administration. Right. But thanks, guys. It's good to be back.
Welcome
and
back.
To talk some smack. I'll be back on Friday.
Okay.
Let's and hopefully we got Vanessa. Thanks, Teresa, Jim, Alan, and thanks to all the folks that tuned in and commented. See you on Friday. Or